Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel, and I have some breaking news for you today from Reuters. YouTube blocks all anti-vaccine content. YouTube will block all anti-vaccine content, moving beyond its ban of false information about the C vaccines to include content that contains misinformation about other approved vaccines, it said in a blog post on Wednesday. And you can see some of the examples here. I can't read that out loud because, of course, what it contains within it. And because of this ban, the AI may be looking for specific things to even demonetize platforms that cover even articles like I'm doing now. So I don't even know if covering these articles about the media and about this news could affect me as well. The online video company owned by Alphabet Incorporated is also banning channels associated with several prominent anti-vaccine activists, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Joseph Mercola, a YouTube spokesperson said. Now, of course, to lighten the blow to many people that will be affected, they had to bring in Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Joseph Mercola because these are names that people may recognize, especially since Robert F. Kennedy is a Kennedy, a known established icon among Democrats. A press email from Mercola's website said in a statement, "We are united across the world. We will not live in fear. We will stand together and restore our freedoms." Kennedy did not immediately respond to requests for comment, and I am not entirely surprised by that. But you also have to take in consideration, as we will talk about in the Friday vlog, the hits that President Biden are taking right now. Biden's approval rating among black voters falls after a private sector vaccine mandate, because among the black community there is still a high level of hesitancy when it comes to the vaccine. And as we talked about earlier this week, Sunday night, Monday morning, if you guys haven't seen that video, I'll post it up here in the right, where the governor of New York has implemented already the termination of medical professionals who did not comply with the vaccine mandate. And that's going to create a problem. I believe that is going to backfire because we are still a constitutional republic. And of course, as we continue to see this from Newsweek, which we'll cover in Friday's vlog, as Biden popularity falls, Democrats fear losing Senate 30 to 50 House seats. These are going to be major concerns. But with YouTube's announcement today, I should say, we know that prominent individuals, as when we covered Nicki Minaj, I will also link her video up in the top right-hand corner for all of you here on YouTube. If you guys are watching this on New Tech, I will include those links below this video down in the description section. But we know that when it comes to many things that the Democrats do, popularity is extraordinarily important, as well as influence, because to the left, popularity means a sign of acceptance. In other words, people are accepting of what is being said and that they agree with what is being said. And so popularity then becomes the milestone of what the Democrats base a lot of their ideology and philosophy on, because if they don't feel popular, or if they aren't popular, then they become greatly concerned. And influencers, powerful influencers on YouTube, or individuals like Joe Rogan, become a problem for the left because these individuals are popular. And being popular means that you have influence. And having influence means that you can change people's minds. And that is a huge, huge, huge concern. As we see here, if you read within this section here, this is what Nicki Minaj was talking about when she was describing her cousin, or her brother's, or her family member's friend, her cousin's friend, who had gotten the vaccine. Now, of course, that was just kind of her, generally speaking, tongue-in-cheek information that was brought up. Of course, they wanted to give her a hard time and try to discredit what she was saying as being complete nonsense, very much like they did with Joe Rogan. But in Joe Rogan's case, he was prescribed the medication properly and for humans and not for horses. So you see, the media has the luxury of exaggerating and sensationalizing content, whereas when the right does it, or conservatives or whomever does it, then obviously they get, obviously accused of being either conspiracy theorists or spreading misinformation. Now, of course, the Democrats' own misinformation goes completely to the side because, of course, they're not going to accuse themselves of doing anything wrong because they see themselves as the standards. They are the arbiters of truth. And so now when it comes to YouTube, they're going to be under pressure by Democrats, probably the administration, because the administration, sadly, you know, we hear all about Antifa suggesting that Donald Trump was a fascist, and how we have a fascist government. But now we're actually seeing the signs. We're actually seeing a heavy-handedness by our government, because we do have the Constitution. And I know that like the individuals who were able to scheme and connive with our mail-in ballot system, they're scheming and conniving with words and with laws to, not get directly into constitutional law, to invade people's constitutional rights. Now, the reason they can be more heavy-handed in private business and in federal government is because the federal government probably has a reach into that, and that's a big concern. Our government was only designed to do three things: create law, enforce law, and protect the country from enemies, foreign and domestic. Well, now we have agencies, hundreds of agencies that are involved with the government, and sadly, a lot of companies and businesses and industries and even churches have federal associations, or they get federal relief, or they get federal benefits, so they get something from the federal government that then affects them, so they have to comply to these. Because my niece and nephews go to a private school which gets levels of federal funding or gets some sort of federal relief programs, and so even their private school is having to comply with these mandates as well, to an extent. Now, of course, the state still has their ability to operate, because in the United States we have balances of power. So, but because the school or other businesses or industries have certain relationships with the federal government can make these types of demands upon them. But this is a very interesting move, because as we're learning today with, Joe Biden's popularity going down among the black community, his popularity in general going down, I think that this whole vaccine mandate thing is going to make it even worse. And when you get into a situation where the government feels like it's losing control, or it's not being able to enforce its power, it's going to try to become more powerful, more draconian, more tyrannical, and they're just going to dig in. And it's going to be very frightening to see how much they're going to dig in, how much they're going to be willing to go to push against the American people, because at some point, the American people will push back, and we are already seeing that. But here you can see from YouTube, they will be blocking individuals that they can block. So social media will be making a concentrated effort to toe the establishment line, to toe Joe Biden's line, and that's going to have to be one of those questions that people bring up with themselves. How far are they willing to go? How far will they be willing to go? How much more will they take from the federal government? How much of this pressure is going to be able to be withstood in our country before it eventually collapses everything, and then we turn into an even more divided country? But it will be interesting to see how all this unfolds. But I wanted to bring this to you guys today because this is vitally important, of course, as a YouTube creator, as a conservative, as someone who talks about these issues. And so I hope that I will continue to do so. And of course, your guys' support is part of that. And if you are on New Tech, I would ask you guys to absolutely give me a follow and share these, because at least on New Tech, I can speak a little more freely. And of course, if you're here on YouTube, I want to thank all of you guys for your continued support, your likes, your shares, and your comments, which will segue us into the closing of this particular segment. I want to thank all of you guys for your continued support, of course, and appearing there on the screen, that would be the channel icon to subscribe. You can click on that to obviously subscribe, as well as to get notifications when there's content here on the channel, like these videos, as well as additional content. And I will see you guys in the Friday vlog.